What would an extra 10K a month do for your business? Well, the good news is you don't need a big audience, you don't need to post all day, and you don't need to spend hours on social media or LinkedIn to do it. In fact, you need 30 minutes a day. But the problem is most people are doing the wrong things. They're doing it backwards. They're doing LinkedIn the wrong way around. So I'm going to show you a simple 3-part framework you can use that turns LinkedIn into a predictable source of revenue. Imagine I wanted to start a business. What would I do? Before I quit my job, I'd think about what am I going to sell? Who am I going to sell it to? I'd map out how I was going to make money. LinkedIn is no different. A lot of people go on there and think if I make a lot of noise, something's bound to happen. That's not true. There's a lot of people who approach LinkedIn that way and get nowhere. What you need to do is build a 5K offer. That means you need 2 clients every month to hit your 10K target. What a lot of people will do is they'll think, well, if I sell something for $297, it's much easier to sell. No. You just increased your marketing effort. It is just as simple and straightforward to sell a 5K offer as a $500 offer. So think about what is a high value problem for a target audience that I can define a specific offer I can put out to the market. You do not want to be doing this weird thing that a lot of experts do on LinkedIn where they say, I do this, I do executive coaching, I'm a fractional this, and do not spell out exactly what people can buy. You need an offer that speaks to a specific problem you're going to solve. It needs to speak to an outcome you're going to deliver, a transformation. It needs to speak to a person, the person who this offer is for. You need proof that you've actually delivered that, and you need your 5K price. Now, just one side bit here. If you feel awkward about talking about pricing, put up a 1-page on your profile and tell people exactly how much you're going to charge. Get the pricing out of the way, put it out in the public space, and let people decide for themselves. As soon as you've got an offer, you've actually got something to sell. You've got total clarity about everything because all of your activity on LinkedIn should circle that one 5K offer. One of the things people struggle with is actually building that offer. And I've got a worksheet and an AI tool that you can have for free. You can grab it in the description and it will help you build your 5K offer. It'll ask you questions, guide you through the whole process, so you come out of it with a 1-pager ready to go. So we got our 5K offer. Now we need to stock the shop. All of our activity, as I said, should be creating demand for that 5K offer. Our content and our profile. And what most people miss is that when your content starts to create that interest in who's this person, people will come to your profile and literally check you out. That's where your offer and all of your core messaging needs to sit on your profile, your banner, right down to your featured section. This is you stocking your shop. You're showing people what they can buy. Most profiles tell people what they'll do, doesn't tell people what they'll buy and why it matters for them. They say, hey, I do coaching or I do marketing consultancy. Nobody buys that stuff. They buy the difference it makes to them. So your profile is basically your shop front. Now your content is the thing that drives the footfall to your profile. So your content should be talking about the problem, talking about the outcome, talking about your process of how you help people go from problem to outcome, make it feel expensive, the problem that they're living with, make the solution feel possible for them, and make your approach feel credible. Now, you can post tips and tricks, but if those tips and tricks don't drive demand for your 5K offer, you're essentially wasting your time. Tips and tricks do not convert. It's the content that agitates that drives conversion, that drives those inbound leads. Now, coming to inbound leads, you need a consistent flow of inbound interest for your 5K offer. Now, you only need 2 clients, but that might mean you need 10, 15, 20 leads, depending on how good you are at converting them and closing them on calls. Now, most people think they just have to post and wait for a lead to come in, or they think they have to outbound spammy pitch people to get people to buy. You don't have to do either. There's actually 5 ways to generate leads on LinkedIn, and I'm going to walk you through them right now. So the first one is demand creation content. The content that agitates people and drives them into your inbox asking how you can help. A little bit trickier to do, a little bit more unpredictable, but long-term is a great winner. Number 2, a newsletter or email list. This is the killer one. This has the highest ROI and future-proofs you from algorithm changes. So growing an email list and using your email list to actually convert people is more effective and more powerful in the long term. You don't need an email list with thousands of people, just the right people coming on it. For an example, if I'm working with lawyers and I've got a 5K offer for lawyers, and literally I grow my email list and I have 300 lawyers on it, tiny number of people, 300 lawyers, guess what? My open rates, my click-throughs, my relevance is going to be through the roof. And so you can convert and consistently get leads with a tiny email list. Number 3 is relationship-led selling. Very, very simple. You build a plan to build relationships with key people on the platform and invite them onto a call to show them how you can help. This is not about pitching. It's about building trust, building relationships, and then inviting them to a call because you think you can add some value to them. This is about being systematic. It's about being organized so that it doesn't suck up your life. You're just outbound commenting for the sake of it. It's strategically engaging with a prospect to build that trust and get that call. Number 4, one of my favorites, hyper-targeted outreach. This is about being a sniper. You look at the person, get really focused, and send them a high-quality video message that really speaks to them. They can see you've done your homework. You understand their world. I aim to do 5 of these a day, and when I do, I book a call every single day. Way more leads than I need to hit my target. And my final one is lives and events. I've done these over and over and over again. I've generated more than $10 million of revenue over the last 6 years doing them, and more than 125,000 leads. This is a one-to-many approach, but not a one-to mass audience approach. So it's still quite niche. I do them on LinkedIn, I do them on Facebook. It's 1 hour a week. You could do it 1 hour a month. And literally you share guidance and advice around the problem, around the outcome, around your process, and then you follow up with those people. It's incredibly powerful, builds super deep trust, and anybody can do it if you're selling your expertise. Now, the important thing to remember is even though you only need a tiny amount of leads to get 2 clients, you've got to work them through a process. And my process, quite simply, is I get leads. That's one of my 5 paths. Then I have to get those leads onto calls. Then I have to get those calls and run those calls really well so that I can propose and recommend my offer. And then I have to follow up with that person to close and win the deal. If you want to make LinkedIn simple, you want to make it efficient, and you don't want it to suck all of your time, you need to build the infrastructure around each of those stages. How do I move the people onto calls? How do I do those calls well so I can propose and recommend my offer? And how do I follow up those people? One of the biggest wins you can have to make this efficient is actually really simply, when you pick your offer and audience in step 1, make sure they're the same group of people, because a lot of your messaging and structure can be exactly the same. And that eliminates a lot of the extra work of trying to adapt everything to different personas. So instead of spending hours on LinkedIn and getting nothing back, 30 minutes can actually bring you 10K a month by 1, having a 5K offer, 2, pre-selling it through your profile and your content, and 3, having a watertight process, one of the 5 paths, and moving people from lead to deal. There's another problem that people encounter when they start and launch their 5K offer and start to head on that plan to get leads to deals. And it is, how do I get my offer in front of exactly the right people? The people who want to buy my 5K offer. In the next video, I'm going to show you how you can build an audience of buyers, the exact people who want and will pay you for what you've got to offer. So make sure you subscribe and turn the notifications on so you don't miss it.